This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Monday Night Raw review on the WWE Podcast. It is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. We are now completely on a clear path to WrestleMania. No more bumps, no more pit stops, straight and narrow to the event that will take place in just under 6 weeks on April 1st. And we have a lot to get to on Monday Night Raw. Some table setting going on by WWE on the show to kind of give you an idea of what we could expect. We did get a challenge by Omos to Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Brock Lesnar has accepted that challenge. A match that I had said on this show, you know, for a couple of months that could be a match that they go to at WrestleMania. I thought it was going to be maybe Stone Cold. I don't even know where Stone Cold comes into the equation anymore. I really don't. Outside of the typical, more predictable, you know, somebody runs their mouth at the end of their match, or somebody randomly comes out and starts talking trash, and Stone Cold comes out, drops a stunner, 2 stunners, 3 stunners, and has, you know, drops some beer, and, you know, everyone goes home happy. That still could happen, but if Austin's going to have a proper match, I don't even know who it is against anymore. It can't be Roman. Roman's out. Brock Lesnar's out. Austin in Theory and John Cena seem to be on a collision course, as Austin Theory once again mentioned John Cena on the show, so that kind of confirms that matchup. So if Austin's going to have a match, I really don't know who exactly he could be facing. It seems more and more likely that it's not going to be a match at all if Austin appears at all. So, hey, you know, I guess dreamers can dream, but it seems like things are falling through the cracks as far as a Stone Cold actual matchup goes. That said, that has nothing to do with Monday Night Raw, of course, because Austin has not mentioned on Raw. It was more of, again, setting the table for WrestleMania 39 and a Brock Lesnar Omos match that, honestly, you know, I know it's not an ideal matchup for a lot of fans that want to see Brock in a more athletically competitive matchup, but it is intriguing. Omos can move better than you'd expect him to, given his size, and Brock Lesnar can work with nearly anybody. So I think this is an intriguing matchup from an F5 perspective. Seeing Brock lift him up is going to be, I mean, he's bigger than the Big Show when it comes to height. Weight, he's, you know, at times he's comparable to Big Show depending on when you're talking in Big Show's career. Big Show, you know, was anywhere from 400 to 500 pounds during his career. And so Omos is comparable in weight, but in height, he exceeds Big Show. So the F5 is going to be extremely interesting. The Germans, how is it going to, you know, German Omos, all of that's going to come into play in their match. And here's what I like about it. This may be true. Somebody can fact check me. I think this may be the first WrestleMania match that Brock Lesnar's involved in that doesn't involve a championship. I think, at least since his return to the company in 2011, 2012. So the last 10 years or 10 years and change, I think this is the first time he's not involved in a championship match. It's been Roman Reigns and Triple H, and, you know, so, hey, if that's the case, I like it. I like, at this point in his career, this stage, Brock Lesnar should be in non-title matches. He doesn't need to be competing for any championships. I say that, and now John Cena looks like he's going to challenge Austin Theory for the U.S. title at WrestleMania, as Austin Theory once again complained that the headline should be about him on Raw and that everything should be about him. And we're still hearing about John Cena appearing in Boston on March 6th, March 8th, whatever that week is for Monday Night Raw. John Cena will be there. And so, hey, I think it's pretty much a lock that John Cena and Austin Theory have a matchup set for WrestleMania. And, you know, I'm fine with it. You know it's going to be a good match. Do I think the title needs to be on the line? I don't. It really tips the hand on who's going to win. When you bring in a legend, outside of Goldberg, who just, for whatever reason, constantly gets title matches and usually wins, outside of him, when you bring in a legend and they're challenging for a championship, more often than not, they don't win it. The Rock is an exception, beating John Cena and capturing the WWE Championship. But I think that if you have somebody like John Cena coming in, who is heavily invested in Hollywood, has his own projects going on, very unlikely that he's going to win the match. And honestly, even if the belt wasn't involved, probably shouldn't win the match. John Cena recognizes the part of his career that he's in, and it's the give back part of the career that he's now entrenched in. And it's cool. That's fine. You know, I think that John Cena and Austin Theory leading up to it should have some fun promos, but ultimately it's going to lead to and should lead to putting over Austin Theory. So I think that this one is early call, kind of a lock for Austin Theory to retain. If John Cena wins, yeah, it'd be fun, like little nostalgic moment, the history of the U.S. title with John Cena, all the open challenges he did that introduced new talent, you know, all that. That's wonderful. But I don't think it's the right decision, even in just for shock value or to grab a headline. It's looking to the future, and Austin Theory is the future. He's the now, as he says. So I don't think that that's a great idea to have Austin Theory lose to John Cena, who is here once a year now, it seems, on the Brock Lesnar, or rather the kind of the even higher than that, maybe Austin schedule. Once a year he shows up, and there's just no need for it. You know, to have a guy capture a belt that is not going to be here on a regular basis. We've been there, done that. I mean, we have a current champion, and we've had him for 2.5+ years. That is essentially a part-time champion, and I think the fans are going to grow very old of it very quickly. I mean, they have now, much less add the U.S. title to that mix of absentee champions, and you're going to have a fan base not happy at all. And the one thing I'll say, too, is it's a bit disappointing that the U.S. title, that they've done such a great job of elevating and have really done the best job that they possibly can, trying to put a smoke and mirrors in front of the fans and convince them that this is the most important title on Raw, when it's only the most important title because of the absence of a world title. Not because there is a world title, but in fact because there's not. It's the most important. But they've still done a very nice job. You know, I'm not crapping on them. It's at all. I think that they, from get-go, that was seemingly one of the things Triple H did right away, I remember, was create video packages about the U.S. title, add some prestige, and give fans a reminder of the legacy of the belt. And I like that. That was, again, one of the first things I remember Triple H doing when he took hold of creative upon Vince's departure. And, you know, so they've done a great job, but there's a ceiling to it. And to have that face off with John Cena at WrestleMania, it's fine. You know, it's WrestleMania. So, all right. Well, welcome to the WWE podcast, everybody. It is, again, Tuesday, February 21st, and we have a lot more to get to here with the Monday Night Raw review. If you haven't joined us before, I know we have new listeners. Get a nice spike in downloads every time there's a pay-per-view, and this go-around was no different. So if you are new to the show, first of all, thank you for listening. There's tons of options out there. We recognize that, and thank you for joining us. You can join us ad-free if you want. If you don't like the interruptions, you can go to patreon.com/WWE podcast. That gets you everything ad-free. As you go up in tier, you get more benefits like video, and you're even able to come on the show if you go high enough. There's merchandise. There's a mug if you want. There's a t-shirt if you go high enough. So just some perks, or you can go ad-free on Apple Podcasts for a week free trial. You get 1 week for free, and then it's just $2.99 a month on the native Apple Podcast app. So that's a nice little convenience factor there. All right. So what else? What else happened on Raw? Again, the Omos thing. It'll be fun to see the build to that. But let's start at the open of Monday Night Raw and go a little bit in order here. And Sami Zayn opens Raw after a recap of the Elimination Chamber, which, you know, that was it's one of those moments you won't forget still. And you guys heard me go into depth with two individuals that were there in person, Anthony DeMarco and Tom Franco, who both were at the Bell Center in Montreal. Native Canadians, proud Canadians, felt that they were cheated, felt the fans were cheated, felt that it was the right time to do it. I still believe, and I'm standing by my words, that I think WWE will never get presented with a better option to give Sami Zayn that opportunity to tell the story of Sami Zayn winning. It's a tried and true story. I mean, and they're probably chalking it up to, well, when Sami gets out of Canada, his reactions will decrease. It may a little, but not by enough to justify, them not doing it. But I've already talked about that in depth for a couple of hours at this point on the show. So you can go back and listen to all of my opinions, which I double, triple, and quadruple down on. I don't apologize for. And if you feel like it's complaining, I've had some people reach out. Look, it's the way it is. Okay. If you don't like people being critical of a product, even if it's at a long length, then you're on the wrong show. If you want a show that just pats WWE on the back and skims over the bad stuff and minimizes the bad stuff and talks, for 60 minutes on the good stuff, you're listening to the wrong show. And I mean, there's just no two ways about it. I don't know what to tell you. We're not changing our format. We're not apologizing for anything we say. It was a bit negative because we focused simply on the outcome of the main event we didn't like, but yet acknowledged 95% of the pay-per-view was awesome. The match with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns was awesome. But even Sami Zayn himself he said he felt a little strange, a little weird. And he felt like he kind of robbed the fans of a moment, and a moment that would have, forever been remembered. So, yeah, but hey, just a little disclaimer there. We are not changing how we do things. Period. So if you think we're bending to the will of people not liking negativity when it's deserved and we feel passionate about it, well, then you got another thing coming. All right. That said, let's start again. Monday Night Raw opened with Sami. Great reaction. An amazing reaction in Ottawa. They did the Olay chants. And then once things calmed down, he said he felt guilty for letting people down by not winning on Saturday, and that the story is never over and we're entering the final chapter. So that was a bit concerning to me. He said it's never over, but then said we're entering the final chapter. It was like, well, which is it? You can't enter the final chapter of something you said isn't ever over. So that kind of concerned me that after Mania, this is closing the chapter on Roman Sami for now. If you're a Sami believer, a supporter, and believer that he could win the belt, doesn't look like it's going to happen in the near future if he's calling this the final chapter. So he asked Kevin Owens to join him, and Kevin Owens got a really big pop, which it's not surprising, but I was a bit concerned that maybe the fans were like, hey, dude, you could have saved Sami in the match. Instead, you came out and just saved him from a beating. They still loved him. Zayn then thanked Owens, said he was sorry, and he also said they might be past words at this point. He told KO that if they worked together, they might be able to finally take down the Bloodline. Owens said that he didn't do what he did for Zayn. He did it for his family. He did it for his own family and for Sami's family. And that if Sami wanted help, he should ask Jey Uso. So they are going to continue this kind of cat and mouse game with Sami and KO. The storyline that we all believed we were going to get months ago is now coming to fruition with Sami and Kevin Owens. While they're not there yet, they have TV time to kill, right? They can't have them reunite immediately and hug and all that. So they got time. To rush this reunion would be, it would shoot yourself in the foot a little bit if you're creative and you've got 5 more Raws to fill. That's a lot of content and SmackDowns. So it made total sense for them to kind of push it off and build it until Kevin Owens and Sami ultimately come together, hug, and fight off the Usos or fight off the Bloodline or whatever their mission is, which again seems to be trying to take down the Bloodline. I don't know. I'm cool with it. I have no problem with this storyline. It makes sense. They're good friends. They have great chemistry, a hell of a storied history inside the ring as opponents and as friends. And you just knew this was coming, but it just feels like still we're being cheated. We're being cheated out of a moment that we probably should have gotten. And I'll get to the Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman segment a little bit later. So those of you that have, get tummy aches when I talk about negativity may want to skip past that part, because that was a disastrous segment. And I don't use that word to be dramatic. It was disastrous. I'd give it a D-, probably an F. If you're saying disastrous, it can't be anything other than an F, right? It was an F. Bad segment. And I don't normally associate bad segments with Paul Heyman. That happens extremely rarely, but we'll dive into that a little bit later. So again, they're teasing us with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reuniting. Really exciting way to open the show. Crowd gets involved, and Kevin Owens for now rejects Sami Zayn's alliance, but we all know it's going to end in an alliance. Just let's get there, right? I mean, I'm along for the story, so it'll be fun to see how eventually they unite. Let's see. So as we cut to a break, Corbin came out of nowhere, attacked Zayn, and official Adam Pearce gave Zayn the go-ahead to face Corbin in a match. This made sense with the modern-day wrestling god. Can we just... I know Corbin needs something, but that's not it. All right, that never fit him. He's far from that. And why would you want to hijack or have a bootleg version of a catchphrase that was actually associated with a Hall of Famer? It feels like a crutch. But fine. He's the modern day wrestling god. Whatever. LOL. The match was fine. Corbin easily had the most relevant match in the last year of his career, maybe more. He continues to point out that he's the last person to beat Roman Reigns. I think that's an important fact, but it's one that's going to eventually kind of run its course, since it was 3 years ago that Roman Reigns lost. More than that now. The last time he lost a match. And eventually Sami Zayn gets exactly what you expect. The haluva kick. Bam. It's over, right? But how could you... This match wasn't supposed to be a 5-star classic. It's not its purpose. So, all right. Then we get a... let's see what happened next. Mustafa Ali versus Dolph Ziggler. So Saxton sat down. Oh, wait. Before we get to that match, Saxton did sit down with Rhea Ripley and Dominic about what happened at Chamber. And this was good. I really enjoyed what Rhea Ripley had to say. How Charlotte keeps living on 3 years ago. And basically summing it up that she's going to take the SmackDown Women's Championship if she that's what she said. If Charlotte said she's going to put Rhea in her place, Rhea said, fine, I'll take my place and it'll be as the new SmackDown Women's Champion. So Rhea did a nice job here. Dominic, of course, gets booed heavily. Even on screen, he got booed. He said he was going to pay his dad a visit on SmackDown. So that should ramp up pretty quickly, where Ray finally attacks his son, maybe at that point, or maybe they wait until the week after WrestleMania. Maybe they wait until actual WrestleMania. Who knows? But it looks like it's going to ramp up quickly, and Rhea's going to confront Charlotte. So SmackDown should be a lot of fun with the Dominic Ray match that's building and the Rhea Charlotte match that continues to build. And it'll be fun. Yeah. The other thing I was thinking is, while I was severely disappointed that Rhea and Bianca didn't have their WrestleMania match, they know it's a match they can go to at any point. It's WrestleMania worthy, but if they want to do it at SummerSlam, that's fine. What if they're just building those two separately on separate brands? Because let's be honest, Rhea Ripley is probably going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship because no one really cares if Charlotte loses a belt. She's won, she's a 14-time women's champion. Really, no one's going to have their heart broken if Charlotte loses a belt. So Rhea, though, it's her year. It's her time. She is the heavy favorite to beat Charlotte, and she should be. But what I think they're doing is not only is, first of all, SmackDown very thin on women's top talent, but a byproduct of this, even if it's not their sole purpose of having Rhea choose Charlotte and not Bianca, you could have Rhea on one show, you could have Bianca on the other, dominating their respective brands as women's champion. and then finally have them clash in a unification match at SummerSlam. How about that? I mean, that would be a hell of a showdown. Rhea versus Bianca, women's title unification match. No, just a thought. Let me know what you guys think. But okay, let's talk now about, what was I getting to? Dolph Ziggler and Mustafa Ali. That, Mustafa Ali got the victory here, and it was quick as expected. This program isn't over. It makes sense that it's not over. I have no issue with these two working together. I think that they can make magic in the ring. They're both ultra talented. They're both, there's nothing more to say about their athleticism. I mean, both of them are uber athletes. It's just kind of creating a story that we could care about. And they've had verbal exchanges before, and on Raw they did. And it just kind of always seems, though, that Ziggler is the gatekeeper, though. The gatekeeper for new talent, but Ali's not new talent. So this is actually a program that Ziggler can sink his teeth into, where typically he's just kind of the butt of the joke, or somebody that's there that WWE knows they can rely on to have a good match with somebody like new talent that they're bringing in to have Ziggler make them look good. Ultimately to lose, but that's kind of been his role. So, all right, let's see what else. Oh, Dominic, his line about he made another prison line about how he's going to put somebody in his place, and he's going to deal with somebody like he dealt with them in prison or something. And he keeps talking about it. It's gold. Dominic is just a little weasel that somebody needs to bloody him. And I mean that in the best way. Okay. Then we get Asuka versus Nikki Cross. And this match was good. It was easily Cross's most relevant and best match to date. Asuka, you obviously know what you're going to get here. This was a kind of a rebranding of Asuka. I know we've seen her new music. We've seen her new face paint. We've seen her new hair. And we saw the recap of her turning on her team in the previous week, which was important. I guess they're trying to frame her as the heel, I think. But people still love Asuka. And Asuka, with her limited promo ability, doesn't do herself any favors. If they're trying to get people to hate her, it's difficult to do if you can't speak to your audience. And, you have a handful of words that you can say. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura was kind of handcuffed, so to speak, with how well he could connect with his audience because of the language barrier. So ultimately, I think Asuka, when you look back on her career, the fact that she doesn't or can't or won't connect with her audience via the promo is going to be a limiting factor for her potential. And it seems like that's kind of just going to be the way she is the rest of her career, but she's an amazing talent. She's one of the best in-ring wrestlers that WWE has ever had, and already a Hall of Fame career. So just the thought about it. I mean, it just feels like always Asuka's missing something. It's promos. That's what it is. It's not, you can continue to put new coats of paint on her with new outfits and new music and new face paint and new color mist. But where you really grab the people is in your words, because your words are going to determine why people do or don't care about your character and are or are not invested in the match that you are having. So just a little bit of a sidebar there. But Nikki Cross, to her credit, also had a very competitive match with Asuka. Cross did win, Cross did lose. There's just zero chance of Cross winning here, as Asuka is going to the main event. I mean, just foolhardy to think otherwise. But Cross, in her loss, still had a smile on her face in her loss and had the crazy look in her eye. So while we still have not yet heard a single word from Nikki Cross as to why she switched back from the just god-awful Nikki ASH to this, We didn't get any explanation. Maybe they didn't feel it was necessary. It does belong in this role. Like, if this is the best version of Nikki Cross, just the insane one. So, okay. Oh, by the way, Bianca Belair sat at ringside, as she does. Do they not trust her on commentary, or is she just not comfortable on commentary? She's done this so many times over the last several months, where she comes out for a match, sits at ringside near the announcers, but doesn't put the headset on. It's clearly one of the two parties, or both parties, WWE and Bianca herself, not feeling comfortable with her on the mic. Maybe she doesn't like the live mic where she has to answer questions on the fly and all. There's got to be a reason. She's one of the few that sit at ringside, and you're the champion. It's bizarre, and I think it kind of takes away from her character. It's like, I want to hear what you have to say during the match. It'd be fun. But she doesn't. She just sits there. So, fine. All right. Then we get here we go. Okay, guys, if your tummy hurts now, with me criticizing, Nikki Cross or what I just did, I really urge you to skip ahead, because we're going to dive into something I think they completely missed, swing and a miss on Raw. And that was a major segment. There are certain things, like, you could have a really good Raw and people focus on the 5 minutes that sucked. And even Triple H alluded to that in his press conference. It's a fair criticism of criticism, if you will. And he chalked it up to fans being passionate about this product. It's passion. No, I just think some people are just drawn to negativity. I mean, that was a very professional way of Triple H saying, yeah, it's kind of like having a really crappy employer where 98% of the time you do great work, but you don't hear anything from them unless it's the 2% that you don't do well. It's kind of the same thing, but he tried to chalk it up to passion. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. But that said, let's get into this, because sure, this wasn't a large segment of Raw, but it was an important segment. Like, all minutes are not equal. So even if you have a great product, you have a great show overall, you could say, well, you're just complaining about this little segment. But what is this little segment's purpose? If the little segment's purpose is to help drive the main event, are those minutes equal in value to a Mustafa Ali and Dolph Ziggler match or promo? Of course not. So you have to look at it in that context too. And that said, this was bizarre. It was bizarre. It was bad. Shockingly, with Paul Heyman involved, look, Paul Heyman is an absolute genius on the mic. This was a misstep, not of epic proportions, because you can come back from it, but it's a step in the wrong direction. So what happened is, we got Cody Rhodes out there, and as he's trying to make his catchphrase a thing, it's not going to be a thing, where he was just about to say, so what do you want to talk about? And it's like, I find that so, I don't know. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. Does he always need to say that, as if we're just so interested in what he has to say that he has to come up with some cute line trying to pretend it's casual conversation? But look, it's just like, dude, get to your promo, okay? Just, I don't know. He's trying to make it a thing. I think he'll continue it. It makes me want to just slap him in the face every single time I hear him say that. So luckily, I was really excited to hear Paul Heyman's voice cutting his ass off from saying that. And then Paul Heyman in a neck brace, which was hilarious, and unshaven. I like the detail, because if you're in a neck brace, you can't shave. Very nice detail by Paul Heyman. That kind of stuff I like. And this was bad. So Paul Heyman tried to get under Rhodes' skin by bringing his family into it, and how many days a year it's going to require as champion to be on the road and defending your belt. And first of all, I had to say to Paul Heyman, what do you mean defending your belt? Roman Reigns defends his belt once every 3 months. What are you talking about, Heyman? And going on about promoting this and promoting that. Nope, now you only have 60 days at home, but when you're home, are you really home? Okay, this I can pretty much say with confidence. While I'm not an actual active wrestler in WWE, I can say with fairly high confidence that most of the men and women on the roster, especially if you're on the quote-unquote main roster, you have that schedule regardless of where you are on the card. Now, you may have additional media appearances here and there because of you're a bigger star. You on your days off, maybe you choose to go on to, an interview on a radio or do a podcast, whatever. But it's almost like Cody Rhodes or Paul Heyman was talking to a civilian. It's like, well, yeah, Cody Rhodes is probably doing that now. What are you talking about, Paul? Trying to talk about how, well, if you win these belts, it's a hell of a responsibility and look what it's going to do to your family. I understand the angle you're coming at, but Cody's been living that now for like 15 years. Like, what are you trying to tell him? Something that he doesn't know or is already not living? I mean, he's trying to tell, well, all these additional responsibilities as champion. Oh, really? Roman Reigns seems like he's getting the pretty good, sweet end of the stick here. Given that he, again, wrestles on a pay-per-view every other pay-per-view, is on SmackDown every 3 SmackDowns, comes to Raw once every 4 months. Like, I think he's got a pretty sweet gig, and look, he's earned it. Roman Reigns has earned it, but if you're trying to intimidate or concern Cody Rhodes with the current schedule Roman has, at least from a fan's perspective, from the outside, what we see, and I know TV is not nearly how much they travel and have their live shows and everything, but it's like from the casual fan's perspective, it's like, actually, no, that's not right, Paul. Like, Roman has a pretty damn sweet schedule. I would argue he has a lighter schedule than somebody who is not in his position working their way up the card. So that didn't resonate or ring with me at all. It was a miss. And then talking about how, talking about Cody's wife and how he would never say that Roman will keep her warm. And then alluded to, that Paul Heyman's going to keep her warm. Like, what? Like, what? That made no sense. And it was a creepy, a creepy visual. And the crowd, you could tell, was just crapping on this. They were booing it and booing Heyman in a way that wasn't like heel heat. It was just, stop talking. This is irrelevant. This is bad. And the fans gave it to him right away. And it's just like, this stop. This is dragging on. We don't see the direction you're going. Get to the point. What the hell is this? Like, this is garbage. And I'm sorry, it was. It was bad. And then having Cody Rhodes, like, he honestly didn't. I was waiting for Cody Rhodes to interrupt him. Like, Cody, like, can you interrupt, please? Please just say something. This is droning on. And Cody said, basically in response, that Roman should never send, or he better not send him again to speak for him, or basically threatening Heyman. And how when we come face to face, which is probably going to be pretty soon, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say right now, right to your face, you're one of the best of all time, all this stuff. He didn't really have a point. Basically just teasing, yeah, they're going to come face to face soon. I don't know. Maybe somebody else views this differently. I thought it was a complete miss. Cody acted weird. He didn't know what to say. It was the polar opposite of their interaction on Raw the week or 2 weeks ago when they had that amazing emotional segment in ring talking about Dusty and all that. Really good. People still talking about it. But this was a step back, and it didn't help anyone from my perspective. Maybe the larger masses are in contrast with my thinking, but it's just rare to have a Paul Heyman segment that stinks, one that hurt Cody, one that hurt the overall narrative of getting us excited for Roman and Cody, which it didn't. It did nothing. I mean, I know that Roman isn't on Raw ever, and they're trying to have some kind of progression forward or the presence by proxy with Heyman there. Like, it's not working, right? At least I shouldn't say it's not working. That didn't work. All right. That was bad, but I think I've made my point. Okay, let's move on. Miz and Seth Rollins. So Miz told Kathy Kelly that he's going to find and hurt Logan Paul for costing him the chance to win the U.S. title at Chamber, but that the Miz is a perfect surrogate for suffering. And it was a good match. It was a good match that ended in exactly how you'd expect. Rollins hitting, well, not exactly how you'd expect, because Rollins didn't win by pinfall. He could have, but it ended in referee stoppage. And I have no problem with this, with referee stoppage in this instance, because he stomped the Miz once, twice, 3 times, and that was the boiling point or the tipping point for the referee to call the match. So Rollins wins by stoppage. I have no problem. Again, referee stoppage is a discretionary thing. It's something that should be used rarely, very rarely, but only when they feel that the stars, the wrestlers' health and safety and livelihood are in jeopardy. You know, in kayfabe, of course. I mean, or in real life. I mean, if you see something obviously that's concerning that is a true injury, of course you stop the match or ask if they're okay or bring any, of course, throw up the X sign. I'm talking storyline. And the match was good, though. I mean, I got to give the Miz his due. He's always fine to good in the ring, and Rollins is otherworldly as he always is. And they continue to build to a Logan Paul Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania. And I know a lot of people, including myself, are disappointed that Seth doesn't have a more prominent position and some kind of title opportunity at WrestleMania. I'm with you. I think eventually they're going to get to Roman Rollins after Roman hopefully retains at Mania, because there's a hell of a story there. I think they will. I think Logan Paul will lose at Mania, and Rollins will go on to challenge Roman Reigns, and we get that story played out again. But I think it's time. Don't forget, Rollins and Reigns have been kept apart now for a year and a half. I think I'm ready for them to re-engage. I keep bringing this up, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's important. Survivor Series 2021, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Rollins came in as the Shield. He was trying to play mind games with Roman. Roman eventually did win, but left Seth Rollins laying and beat him to a pulp that was never, ever followed up on. So, something there. But, all right, let's go on. Oh, The Miz also had something that was given to him by his wife that he said he's going to save for next week. I have no idea what it is. Some kind of award, maybe. Who cares? Whatever it is, it's going to be ruined by Miz's opponent for Mania, whoever that could be. I don't know. I really don't. But Seth Rollins and The Miz are probably done for now. It's Seth Rollins and Logan Paul from here to Mania. I'm looking forward to the match from an in-ring perspective, though. I am. The storyline doesn't particularly interest me, but Logan Paul is a hell of an athlete. Can't deny that. You may not like him, but are you supposed to? No. Okay, let's get back to it here. And Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed got the victory. And what else would you expect here? Because Bronson Reed had a hell of a night, breakout night at the Chamber in the U.S. title Chamber match. Really enjoyed his work. He made a name for himself. Again, when I say that, that means you at least know who he is and what his name is and have some kind of memory about him if you're just seeing him for the first time. So having him beat Chad Gable makes sense. Gable and Otis right now are the in-house enhancement talent. They haven't won a match. Somebody's got to come up with this stat. It's got to be months, several months at this point. Bronson Reed gets the victory. It was an okay match, fairly quick, but it continued Bronson on his monster run. So Bayley then hosted Ding Dong Hello, and we got it feels like a reuniting of Damage Control because they've been out of the picture. It feels like so long. I don't know, like they're together and but they haven't had like a meaningful promo segment together in quite a while. But we did get here a segment with Bayley and Io Sky and Dakota Kai, and Becky Lynch comes out after we got the hilarious statement about the how many times that the tag team titles are being defended, or that what are they running roughshod? I got to look at my notes. I actually wrote it down because it was ridiculous. Even Becky kind of called that out. Maybe that was the point. They said that they've dominated the division for 100 days. Are you kidding me? First of all, there is no women's tag team division. I could dominate a division with no competition too. We all could. That's the embarrassing part about the women's tag team division, is there isn't one. Anyone who's champion in that division, by default, is going uncontested. And it's most surprising under the guidance and creative mind of Triple H that it's still kind of a Vince McMahon holdover. He brought Triple H brought the tag titles back for the women, and then didn't do anything. Just crowned a champion, and then is like, all right, I guess we're just going to go back to irrelevancy. If I was a woman in WWE, that'd be the last championship I want. Because it's where careers just seem to go to die for periods of time. If you want to be irrelevant for several months at a time, but also claim you're a champion at the same time, which is kind of an oxymoron, that's what you want. That's what you aspire to be as a women's tag team champion. And just like clockwork, last year they suddenly had all these teams in the women's tag team division for the match at Mania. Weird how that works. And then they all disintegrate shortly after Mania. What happened? Did the tag team division implode, or was it all smoke and mirrors to pretend they had a division and bring women singles competitors together just because they don't have a match at Mania and they want to make it look like they have a tag team? Which option is it? I'll let you make that decision. But they're doing that again this year, except Becky Lynch came out and called out the fact that they haven't defended those belts. Well, Becky, yeah, you can't defend it against yourself. So there's that. Of course, she'd never say that. There's no one to defend it against, but that's the reality. She instead just referenced about, there's probably cobwebs on those matches or something. I'm surprised she didn't call them dopes or whatever ridiculous insults she tries to make. But she did bring out Lita. And Lita came out and made their intentions clear for challenging them for their tag titles. And I don't think we got an actual date or whatever. Maybe it's at WrestleMania, but also if Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are a tag team, they've made their intentions clear about challenging for the SmackDown or for the women's tag team titles. That'll be fun. While we're not officially going to get a Becky Ronda one-on-one, which is just still mind-boggling as F to me, then maybe they'll meet a little bit in the tag team match, and they'll have that moment where they both get tagged in this fatal four-way women's tag team title match, and they both stare at each other and see how the crowd reacts. That's probably going to be their moment. But other than that, Ding Dong Hello is, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I kind of feel numb to it is really how I feel about it. All right. Oh, Otis Scott trying to get recruited by Maxine Dupree. Kind of funny, I'd have to say. Yeah, maybe he'll do it. And maybe that'll be the best thing Otis has ever done. It seems like maybe going back to a comedy act with Otis. He's grown his beard back. His belly's there. I mean, who knows? Maybe Vince is in the ear of Triple H about Otis. All right. Then we get the main event here. Austin Theory versus Edge. A nice promo by Edge that reminded you he doesn't have a whole lot of days left. He reminded you about, the fact that his days are numbered. That's no quest. There's no, secret about that. So that was a nice reminder to fans of like, hey, I am not going to be able to do this forever. And it's true. So I like that. You kind of ground us back in reality of what Edge being back really means. I think we've lost sight of that. But he said that, the Judgment Day is behind him. LOL. He's moving on. And he has said that he has not captured a championship since his return, which is true. And I bet you a lot of fans went, yeah, wait a minute. He hasn't. I did. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. So he was looking for his first title win since his return in 2020. And the title match was good. I mean, it was about, I think, 9 minutes or so. And it was a really good match. Edge has shown you that he can still go even with the top talent that they have, a young guy like Austin Theory. And, having, I think it might have been Corey Graves making the stat that when Edge won his first world champion or won his first WWE title, was it the US title or whatever title it was, that Austin Theory was 4 years old at the time. When I was like, whoa, that's a hell of a comparison. And it's respect to to Edge for being able to do this at his advanced age and being able to end the career that he wants to end in his way. So I respect the hell out of that. But one thing I wanted to say about Kevin Patrick. Okay, I'm not a fan of Kevin Patrick. I almost long for the days of Byron Saxton. I didn't say I do, but almost. He used the phrase "my word," and I can't remember in what context, or not what context, but what the situation was. But instead of saying "oh my God" or "amazing" or something, he used a phrase that my grandmother used to use. Right? Oh my word! He actually said that. Dude, I mean, did WWE suddenly change to TVG or TVY? Are we now on the Saturday morning cartoon lineup? It's just like the most soft, childish little. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. It's a step below. Oh my God, he can't even say that. I don't know. It's a small thing. Many of you probably didn't catch it or care or blew over your head or missed it, whatever. And it's a stupid small thing. But I've never heard a wrestling announcer use the phrase, "my word." I can't remember. I don't have the patience to go back through and scrub through to find exactly when he said it. And I tried to type it in as it was happening and I couldn't. Anyway, small thing, but super annoying. And Kevin Patrick, Mr. Out of Breath for everything he says, is just wearing on my nerves every single week. I'm just I don't know. He's like this. He's just out of breath with everything. And oh my God, Seth Rollins. How is he doing this? It's just like everything is exhaustive to me. He can't everything to him is just like, there's not a lot of range in his emotions. And I kind of felt that way with a lot of the revolving door play-by-play guys that have come through over the last couple of years. They can't find that guy. Kevin Patrick's not that guy, okay? I wouldn't actually mind seeing Corey Graves just go solo. I'd rather have that than Kevin Patrick. That'll never happen. But at least they've gone back to a two-man booth. I respect that. I like that. But Kevin Patrick, Mr. Out of Breath for everything, and Mr. My Word. I literally haven't heard that since my grandmother was alive, and that was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So apparently WWE is now TVG, TVY, if you guys didn't know. But Edge here was about to hit the spear on Balor, and we get the interference that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, nobody is asking for at all, and that is a Finn Balor interference on Edge, just Finn, and costs Edge the match as he was about to go for a spear. Finn Balor then hits the coup de grace 3 times to end Raw. By the way, Austin Theory gets the victory and retains. So this is not over, and it's been going on for over a year now. It's almost unbelievable that this has gone on that long, but I guess you can do that if you take 3 months off at a time. If you only have 4 matches in a year with the same guy, it sounds really long, but it's only long because he takes such long breaks in between. And I know why he does it, for longevity and to not outstay his welcome and feel fresh. But when you return against the same guy the same way and lose, it's just like, and I know Beth Phoenix and him didn't lose at the pay-per-view, but still, it's just, we're all done with this. It's done. It's over. Can we move on? I was hoping Edge and John Cena would have a match at Mania, just given their history. That's not happening. It's Edge and it's Finn. It's probably in Hell in a Cell. And they'll probably have a great match. No doubt about it. I'm sure they'll have an amazing match because they're both super talented. It's just the story. I think all of us are just sitting there going, this is still going on. If you told me last year at WrestleMania that at this year's WrestleMania, Edge would still be attached somehow to the Judgment Day, I would have bet my house on it. No way. But here we are. Here we are. All right. So that was Monday Night Raw. Overall, a good show. Again, a table-setting event for Mania. We don't have all the answers, but it looks like we have a few. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Austin Theory versus John Cena. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Those seem to be the three. And maybe looking towards solidly saying KO and Sami versus the Usos. That follow-up will have to confirm things as we move on. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio, Finn versus Edge. Again, yeah. So we're starting to lock into the event, guys. We're starting to lock in the cards coming into focus, and it'll be here before you know it. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this Raw review. Thank you for joining us, all you new listeners. I appreciate all the support. If you guys want to get rid of the ads, patreon.com/WWE podcast is your best place to go, or you just want to use Apple Podcasts, and I know at least 2/3 of you do, head over to the ad-free button and get yourself a week free of ads. And if you don't like it, you can cancel, no charge. But if you like us and you want to support the show and continue on, you can do that with $2.99 a month rolling into WrestleMania season. So thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate all the support. If you guys need anything, you can email me, realwwepodcast@gmail.com or mailbag@wwepodcast.com, because we have our mailbag coming tomorrow if you want to get your voice heard. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.